Welcome to everyone. This week video will cover the S&P 500 for the week of December 16, 2024. Before we start, make sure you read carefully the disclaimer. This week video will be the last one for this year. But for more analysis you can go to my website, Tradingmarketcycles.com. During my last December 9th update, I mentioned the market is certainly on his way to form his 20-week cycle peak. Let's see where we are now. Let's start by the 20-day cycle. On December 6th, the S&P 500 made a new all-time high at 6,099, meeting perfectly his target zone, which was between 6,116 and 6,098. This target has been triggered on November 26th when the S&P 500 market crossed above his cycle lines at 5,977 and 5,986. Providing an upside target zone between 6,098 and 6,116. Respectively 121 and 130 points, or between 2.02 and 2.17% of potential profits. The November 19th low at 5,855 was the last 20 days low. The next one was expected on December 7th. The S&P 500 made a low on December 10th at 6,029. Just 3 days later than expected. This 20-day cycle is 21 days long. The 20-day cycle length according to the Hurst nominal model is 18 days. The S&P 500 found support on his cycle line on December 10th. Since is the second 20-day cycle since the November 4th low. Technically the market's supposed to cross below the cycle lines and provide a downside target. Especially we are expecting the 20-week cycle low forming in December. The next 20 days low is expected on December 28th. What's next? If the market rebounds sharply and make a new all-time high, then we can consider it the alternative analysis for the 80-day cycle. But the potential new high will be very close to be the 20-week cycle peak. We will see later the different options. No matter the option, we start a new 20-day cycle. 40 days cycle. With a low at 5,696, the last 40 days low was on November 4th. After the 40 days low formation. On November 6th, the S&P 500 market crossed back above his cycle lines at 5,848, providing an upside target zone between 6,000 and 6,017, for 152 points or 2.59% of potential profits. The target has been met 4 days later on November 8th. The next 40 days was expected on December 8th. On December 10th, the S&P 500 made a low at 6,029. This low could be the 40 days low. Since we are expecting the 80 days and the 20-week cycles low for mid-December. The S&P 500 supposed to cross below his cycle line. If the market do not cross below his cycle line, then there is an anomaly in the market. Maybe this is due to the formation of the last 80 days low, which can be on the November 4th instead of October 7th. For now, for the 40 days cycle traders, nothing changed. We start a new 40 days cycle. The only difference is the strength of the next cycle. If the last 80 days was on November 4th, we may see a sharp and short rebound making a new high, then later the market will cross below his cycle lines, on his way to the next 40, 80 days and 20 weeks low. Otherwise the market should cross below his cycle lines this week and will provide a downside target zone. The next 40 days low is expected around January 11th or 13th, the blue vertical dashed line. Assuming the December 10th was the 40 days low, I draw the 40 days cycle trend line, the blue line on the chart. With this trend line we will be able to identify when the next 80 days peak will form, when the S&P 500 will cross below. Since we expect the 20 weeks low soon, when this will happen, we can expect a sharp decline. The success rate trading the 40 days cycle is 90%. The 80 days cycle. On this cycle we may have two options. The first one is like I mentioned on my last analysis. The 80 days low was on October 7th. Since we expect the next longer cycle to valid this option, the 20 weeks to bottom at the same time than the 80 days cycle, the S&P 500 supposed to cross below his cycle line. The problem with this option is the S&P 500 is still above his cycle line and the low is expected on December 14th. To validate this option, we should have a sharp decline this week to form the 80-day cycle. Unless the cycle is longer than expected, the low will occur a little bit later. The second option, which is the most likely to happen, is the last 80 days low was on November 4th. In this case, we can expect the next 80 days low on January 11th, 2025. Is this scenario the right one? The last 80 days cycle was 90 days long, which is very long for an 80-day cycle, which usually have an average of 68 days on the Hearst nominal model, but is not impossible due to the political context, with the U.S. presidential election. Then we can have a short rally to form the 80 days peak, then a decline on his way to the next 80 days low. Why this anomaly? This certainly due to the American presidential election. When the market expects a news or event, the cycles have tendency to get shorter or extend slightly. But the cycle low will form in a time window within the expect time. With the December 6th high at 6,099, the S&P 500 meet his target zone 6105 to 6087. The success rate for trading the 80-day cycle is 100%, meaning all the trading signal are profitable. The 20-week cycle. We still expected the 20-week cycle low formation, which should occur very soon. During the formation of this 20-week cycle low, the S&P 500 market should find support on his cycle line, which will be around 5,840 on the December 14th. If the second scenario is the valid one, then the 20-week cycle low should form around January 11th, 2025, the vertical green dashed line. At that date, the cycle line will be around 5,935. But due to the amount of bullishness in the S&P 500 market, there is a possibility the market will not even reach his cycle line. In conclusion, the S&P 500 index is still in a bullish phase, but the 20 weeks peak should form very soon. We can expect the 20-week cycle low to form between 5,935 and 5,840. After this low is established, we can anticipate a rally toward the peak of the 18-month cycle. For more information, visit my website tradingmarketcycles.com. This is the end of this week's video. Thank you for following me. If you like this video, please click on the like button and share this video and subscribe to don't miss in future important videos. Welcome to everyone.